I want you to read it without telling your children. The president had asked me to do so. 2 weeks after my husband passed away suddenly from exhaustion. His secretary said it and handed me a letter. When I checked it, I found a letter thanking me and asking me to go to a certain warehouse. I followed the instructions in the letter and went to the warehouse. There I found a young man about the same age as my son. The young man smiled as he led me on a tour of the house and told me a shocking truth. I am Zaida, and when I was 35 years old, I married my current husband, Asher. It was my first marriage, but it was the second one for my husband. He had a 4-year-old child at the time. His name was Oscar. He was a cute little boy with slender arms and legs. We met because of our jobs. I was in sales and he was a sales representative. I had given up on marriage because I was over 30 years old and I had a disease that made it impossible for me to have children. I want you to marry me. His eyes were serious as he said this, and I could not take my eyes off of them. But I am an old woman now. I can't even have children. I don't care about that. You are a good worker, and above all, have a good heart. I told you I have a son, didn't I? I want him to know his mother. I believe you can take good care of him. Besides, you are very attractive as a woman. Looking back on it now, it sounds like a toothless line, but at the time, I gladly accepted his proposal. Perhaps it was the fact that I could have a child that made me happier than anything else. Before I got married, I met his son. At first he hid behind his father, but as we talked and ate together, he gradually opened up to me. Can I call you mother? Can you call me mother? I've never had a mother before, so I'd like to call, no. The way he tilted his head in that way was adorable and made my heart ache. I hugged the boy tightly. Looking forward to being with you from now on, Oscar. Yay! Bring me into the circle, too. He hugged me tightly on top of us as we hugged each other. I had thought that I would have to live alone because I could no longer hope to have children, but he told me that there was a new kind of family. Then we got married. My husband had a dream. He wanted to start his own business and become successful. I wanted to support his dream, so I continued to work and spent my busy days doing housework, raising children, and working. My husband often struggles with cash flow and I have to work frantically to make ends meet. When sales were inevitably slow, there were months when my husband had no income. I didn't blame him for it, and we struggled to make ends meet, breaking down his monthly salary as well as the deposits and insurance we had accumulated up to that point. Even in such a situation, my son listened to me and was a fine person. I could not afford to send him to cram school, but he studied hard and maintained good grades. Thanks to my mom who takes care of my studying. You are working hard, don't you? I just stand by and watch. I study hard because you're always there for me, even though you're busy. He humbly said that even though his ability is his own. I accepted his words, even though I felt a little uncomfortable. And then, after 20 years of hard work, my husband's efforts finally bore fruit. His business took off and he became the president of the company. I was really happy and called for a family celebration. I baked a cake, which I don't usually make that day, and prepared a slightly pretentious menu for the dinner table. I really wanted to go to a restaurant, but I still thought ahead and decided to save money, so I prepared a special menu that we could eat at home. My son was very happy to see such a dining table. But, Dad, I heard he can't come home today. I see. It can't be helped if the star of the show isn't here. Yes. Let's eat, Mom. Today's food looks really delicious. And the cake is my favorite cake with strawberries on it. Seeing me depressed, my son tried to cheer me up and spoke to me in a happy voice. I was cheered up by that, and we finished dinner together that day. When my husband came home the next day, he smelled a slight scent of alcohol. This smell, have you been drinking? No, it's just that everyone at work is celebrating with me. I'm going to take a shower. My husband was somewhat distant and hurriedly headed for the bathroom. I was suspicious, but started to get ready and sent my husband and son out of the house. A few days later, my cell phone displayed the phone number of my husband's company. I answered the phone, but I was suspicious. Is that his wife? The president of the company. It was a call to inform me that my husband had collapsed at work. I rushed to the hospital, but could not get there in time. By the time I arrived at the hospital, my husband had already passed away. I heard from his secretary that he had been working very hard. The cause of death was probably overwork. I just listened intently to the doctor's words telling me so. Then my son rushed to the hospital and we broke down in tears, hugging each other. The sudden death of my husband of 20 years was sad and painful. The funeral was over and time passed quickly. 2 weeks had passed since my husband's death, and we were still going about our daily lives, still in a state of grief, when a person claiming to be my husband's secretary came to visit us. It has been a long time. Thank you for coming all the way here. Can I help you? I know this is sudden and rude, but the president gave me this. If something should happen to him, I was told to give you this. What he handed me was a letter. What is this? I want you to read it to the child in secret. What? I was told to tell the president that. I think it was probably from the president. I see, but why? Why did he prepare a letter? I have not heard the contents of the letter either. I have returned the items entrusted to me by the president, so I will leave you now. The secretary bowed her head and left. I opened the letter in wonder. If Zaida is reading this, then I must no longer exist in this world. First of all, I want to thank you. Thank you for raising Oscar. That is how my husband's letter was written out. Then, in the main body of the letter, it states that he would like me to head to the warehouse he has designated. I thought it was my husband's will and headed there, not understanding why since there was no reason written down. It was the warehouse of my husband's company. While I was standing in front of the warehouse wondering what was in here, I was approached by a young man. The young man had short black hair and the appearance of a young man these days. He was wearing a uniform with the company name embroidered on it. Are you the wife of the president? Yes, it was my husband's will that I should come here. We've been expecting you. Please come this way. He showed me in a friendly manner. He led me to the guest room. He asked me to sit on the sofa, and I sat at the end of the sofa. He made me a cup of tea and sat down in front of me. I read a letter that I should come here. Do you know why I was asked to come here? Dad, he didn't say why. What? Dad? I'm the boss's son. Well, I'm the son of a mistress. What? I could not hide my surprise at the suddenness of the situation. I was not sure what was going on, so I asked the young man back. What do you mean? Are you his son? And he had a mistress. Yes. My mother has been dating you since before you married my father, even before he married his ex-wife. She's like an unofficial common-law wife. What does that mean? I did not understand, but the young man explained with a grin. Her husband had been dating the young man's mother, Shayla, for a long time. However, his mother was very opposed to the marriage. She told him to marry a woman from the right family and forced her husband into an arranged marriage. Then, his ex-wife became pregnant and gave birth without incident. However, her husband secretly took Shayla as his mistress and had an affair with her. The ex-wife found out after the birth and divorced him. However, the child was a boy. That was Oscar. His mother forcibly separated him from his ex-wife, saying that she would make her grandson her heir, and won custody of him. However, just at that time, the mistress also found out she was pregnant. The child she is carrying is a boy, and it is Ethan, the young man in front of me now. The husband wanted the mistress to raise his son and asked her to marry him, but she refused, saying that she would never raise someone else's child. Not wanting to bear the burden of raising a child themselves, his mother and my husband decided, after much consideration, to marry again and have a second wife. The plan was to have his wife raise their son. And then his wife was me. But my father wanted me to take over the company. Of course he wanted me to take over the company. It's the child of the woman he loved. That's why I called you. What do you mean? You're not very perceptive, are you? It is true that I am the boss's child, but I am unrecognized. That's why I don't have my father's inheritance right. I was told to inherit it from you. The young man who said this without hesitation did not seem to be offended in the slightest. I was simply astonished at the fact that he had told me of his infidelity after my husband's death and even asked me to take care of him. Your mother, how is she? She got sick 5 years ago. She died before my father. And then you had my husband to take care of you all these years. I don't know. I mean, all the time. Dad, he didn't give you any money, did he? He was giving it all to us. He said it wouldn't be a problem because you could earn money. I bit my lip as the facts were revealed one after another. I could not forgive him for treating me like that. Anyway, I think my lawyer is coming to talk to you about the inheritance. You can call me too. That was all the young man said, and he kicked me out of the guest room. He pushed me outside and told me to leave. In frustration, I glared at the young man's back as he tried to get back to work. After returning home, I sit alone in the living room with my head in my hands. My husband's many shocks have left me feeling unresolved, and I don't know what to say to my son. Just as I sigh and wonder what to do, my son walks into the living room. I'm home. What's wrong? What's wrong, Mom? You're sighing. No, it's nothing. I'm fine, I'm just glad you're home. You're home early. I'm off work today, so, what's that? My son noticed my husband's letter spread out on the table and quickly picked it up. Regretting that I had not put it away immediately, I thought of an excuse. Why is there a letter from my dad? What is this warehouse? It's not, probably a prank. No, it can't be. This is my father's letter. What's going on? Don't hide anything from me. I tried to cover it up, but looking into my son's straight eyes, it was hard for me to keep quiet, so I told him. When I told him what had happened today, he began to tremble. Sorry, Mom. My father did something like that. It's not your fault. It was me who didn't notice. You don't have to take care of him. I have a plan. What are you gonna do? Don't worry, I'll take care of it. I was worried, but he stopped shaking and looked straight at me. I believed him and entrusted him to me. Then we were called in to see a lawyer for the division of property. Thank you very much for gathering here. We are gathered here today to discuss the division of Mr. Asher Taylor's property. The young man, who identified himself as my husband's son, looked at my son with a smirk on his face. The three of us gathered there, the young man, myself, and my son. We also contacted my mother-in-law, who was already in an institution, but she was not present that day because she had decided to waive her inheritance. The lawyer begins to speak plainly. First of all, let's talk about the details of the inheritance. Oh, okay. I'll just sign it. You're going to disinherit, aren't you? The young man looked at us and urged. I renounce my inheritance. I also renounce my inheritance. I will also adopt Ethan and transfer all of my property to him. I will inherit it. I'm going to sign it now, so hurry up. I have plans after this. I need to talk to you first. I will adopt you for the inheritance, but I want you to terminate the adoption as soon as the inheritance is completed. I don't want to take care of you. I understand. I'm not interested in having anything to do with you. You don't have any property. Please make the necessary arrangements. The young man asked his lawyer. The lawyer accepted the request and, perhaps having already heard about it from my husband, produced the documents he had prepared for the adoption and inheritance. We signed it and were done. The young man left as soon as he was done. And then we went home too. After a month of living a normal life, I started receiving numerous phone calls from a blocked number. I was suspicious of them, but spent my time ignoring them. While we were having dinner together, the chime rang. Who could it be at this hour? I'll go check on him. My son took the initiative and followed him toward the front door. When I opened the front door, there he was, the young man. Hey! What's going on? He shouted as soon as our eyes met. It's a nuisance to the neighbors. What do you want? It's my father's inheritance. It's nothing. If anything, it's negative. You said the company was in the black, but it wasn't. That's not what you said. What are you talking about? We weren't told anything about my father's company. You knew that and you left the inheritance, didn't you? He's a liar. I'm still in debt at my age. It's not our fault. Please leave. It is a nuisance. If you make any more noise, I will call the police. My son responded firmly to the young man who was yelling at him, and successfully turned him away. The young man left, yelling repeatedly. Perhaps he was trying to harass us. He must have realized it by now. It's his fault for not listening to the end of the conversation. My son covered his shoulders and went back to the living room. Seeing my son's back, I felt resilient. 6 months later, my husband's secretary came to visit me. I am sorry to keep coming back to you, she said. I just thought it might be necessary to tell you. I led the secretary, who bowed, into the guest room. I offered him a cup of tea and asked him about his story. At first, the young man took advantage of the fact that he had become the president and did whatever he wanted. When he found out that the accounting was in the red and that he needed to start the next business, he became furious. He had no management skills, and the company went under. He told me that he was currently unaccounted for, but that since he was also carrying my husband's personal debts, he must have broken himself somewhere. When I heard this, I realized that life doesn't go well when you are raised by bad parents. It seems that my son felt it too. I'm glad you were there for me, Mom. I wonder if I would have ended up like that if you hadn't been there. It's okay. You've always been strong. You will be fine. I smiled at him and he laughed as if he was relieved. We have been living peacefully ever since. I adopted my son. It may be a small amount, but I am still working and would like to leave a legacy for my son. However, my son is employed by a well-known foreign company. I will earn the money myself. He works very hard. With such a reliable son, I will continue to live modestly and peacefully.